Hello everyone, welcome back to Throttle Grotto and the 928 project. And we are now entering phase stupid. What is phase stupid? Spelled with a 2? Stupid. Yes, stupid. Well, you're about to find out. Stay tuned. All right, everyone. So my most recent video was a financial damage total from the 928. And I didn't plan on doing that. What I did plan on was if the 928 continued to fail me, and by fail me, I mean vex me and running right, then it was going to get things purchased for it. And I purchased things. I haven't purchased all of them. But those of you that are familiar with the channel will know that the cappuccino is gone. I decided to sell the cappuccino, partly because of bills and partly because I needed money to buy things for this car. Okay, I didn't need to. Fine. I hear you. Please don't throw things at your computer or your phone. They're expensive electronic products. It sure does look good. Too bad it sounds terrible. So now we have this. This is a 2008 Maserati F136, complete with fancy fuel pedal. Has all of the accessories: alternator, oil pump, water pump, power steering, AC, all the wiring harness. It was an automatic car like most of them are. It even has blue valve covers that mildly match. Okay, they're both blue. I'm going to have to respray this one anyway. This paint's flaking off back there. This is going to make the 928 sound amazing. Oh, it even has the starter right there. So this is going to make this sound incredible. It is going to take a significant amount of labor and parts and effort to make this happen. One of the things that's going to happen to this, I was going to say fine automobile, but it's not a fine automobile yet. It's going to get a full Corvette driveline swap. So it's been done. I know it's been done. I can't afford to buy the parts, but I also know that the torque tube and transmission in this car will absolutely grenade itself at anything above the current power levels. So looks good, sounds terrible. Looks good, sounds good. So that is the dilemma. I don't like where the 928 has gotten me to so far. I'm kind of stuck with the 928 for a couple more years, like regardless of what happens with it. Let's make this the raddest, most best sounding 928 that we possibly can. And we're going to do that with a Ferrari / Maserati engine. Why did I pick this motor? A, because it sounds amazing. B, because it's actually physically smaller than the 928 engine. C, because it's not an LS swap. I was like, do not want to do an LS swap because I don't want this car to sound like every other car that runs around with an LS in it. Like, don't get me wrong, the LS is a great motor, and it would be an easier swap to do because it's already been done. This has already been done, just not in a 928. If we look at what approximately the measurement across the cylinder head widest points are, we are right about 30 inches here at the cam covers. This is a thick girl. And if we go back to about where we'll see if I can do it without leaning on anything. we're at about 29 inches there between the cam towers. This wee beastie here, we go from outside to outside, we're at like 27 and a half inches. So she gonna fit nice. And the length on this thing, I measured it out. It's basically overall, if we go from the front, go from about the front, is about 25 inches. There we go. I can do things. So it's about 25 inches long. One of the things we're going to run into is the height. So this intake is going to cause some problems with the hood, which is why we're not going to use this intake. The nice thing is it covers, well, it's not nice. It covers the alternator. But if we take all this off, there is basically just a flange that we can do. There's a way to make it work. Either cutting the top of this intake off and just smooth braining it. I just came up with that. Or a custom aluminum intake. Custom flange, some short runners with injector flanges in them, and then a low profile oval intake that will still cover the alternator so I can leave it in the stock location. Or worst case scenario, figure out how to put a Delco on here somewhere, but that's a packaging problem for later. I would rather solve the intake manifold problem, and then I can have a nice polished intake manifold up here and it would look really nice. There we go. That's the why. So the how. The how is going to be the hardest part of this whole swap. So the engine, actually not that expensive. If you figured this is a 35,000 mile Ferrari engine that I got for $2,500 on Craigslist, I could not pass it up. I was looking at some on like Carpart, and they were less expensive, but a bunch of the accessories had been stripped off. I figured it was easier to buy one that had everything. And here we go. So engine, custom engine mounts, custom intake manifold, and then we're going to have to do a custom flywheel bell housing assembly with a custom clutch. That's going to be a difficult portion of this swap. And then C5 or C6 torque tube and transmission. Kind of depends on what I find. Trying to be thrifty. And then to run it, standalone. There is a company called Russ EFI that does harness modifications and makes basically an aftermarket. I think it's called the Helen 121 that plugs into the ME 7.1.1 wiring harness. They're not sure if it works on a F136 engine, but that's a possibility. Everything from Haltech, Motec, Link. There's a bunch of different people that are running swaps this engine in a swapped car. I'm not even worried about that. That aside from the money that I'm worried about, I'm not worried about making it run. There's plenty of ways to make this engine run in this car. So there you have it. Hopefully you guys click like and subscribe, because this is going to make that car sound amazing. It's a big project. I have decided that this is going to be, I don't know, my swan song, my piece de resistance. I'm going to take this car to the level that I feel like it needs to be taken to, and just get it to where I want it and I'm happy with it, and I feel like it's fun to drive. I don't feel like it's fun to drive right now. I'm going to try to drive it as long as I can in its current state. So we're going to build jigs on the floor to do, hopefully do the rear transmission swap, the cradle. Hopefully I can come up with a spare 928 transmission so that I can start fabbing a jig so that when I do get a Corvette transmission, I have a way to build a jig without having to use the car. That keeps me from having to take it apart. Hopefully, once I have that, I can get some work done on the bell housing adapter, the clutch, all that to make it adapt to the Corvette torque tube. And then once I have the engine in the car, the transmission in the car, it's a matter of how long does the torque tube need to be. And there are tons of companies that modify Corvette torque tubes. That is another thing I'm not worried about. It just needs to be done. It may not be cheap. I've decided that this is where the 928's going. And hopefully you guys are along for the ride and I can entertain you along the way, because if you haven't heard these things on full song, they sound amazing. So just a quick recap. The Cappuccino is funding a significant amount of this build, probably most of the base driveline components. It's going to sound amazing. It's going to be faster than it was. And hopefully it will have a 6-speed transmission. I get it done in a reasonable amount of time so I don't bore the crap out of you guys waiting for me to get it done. If I had TV show connections and a TV show budget, this would happen quick, but I don't. So stay along for the ride. Be patient with me on this build, because it's going to be taxing. It's going to be a significant draw on my skills. I'm going to have to lean on some people outside of the garage here to help with some knowledge, and maybe even get some people to sponsor the build. We'll see. It's like 42 degrees in the garage. I'm going to go inside and eat macaroni and cheese, because that's my life now. Because now I'm definitely putting the pour in Porsche. All right, everyone, let me know what you think. Does this qualify me to be the stupidest YouTube automotive creator on the planet, or what? Anyway, until next time, get out there and work on something.